Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Build Live from Oak Hill Works. How are we all doing this evening? I hope you are well. And good evening, Matt. How are you? We are back here once again with the LSWR 6-wheel full brake from Roxey Mouldings as a vacuum form kit, which has gone a little bit wavy over the last week, which I didn't notice till earlier today, so that was great. But it'll be fine. We'll sort it. We'll make sure it is straight. We will add some strength to the back of it to keep it straight, which was always the plan anyway. So it'll all be fine. Do not worry. YouTube playing silly with the resolution. For me, saying higher resolution is 144p. Wow. That's good of it. I imagine everything's displaying really, really nicely then. We have had a moment where it dropped out completely on the way through pre-stream chat. So, yeah. It could be that my internet is a bit rubbish this evening. I mean, according to Streamlabs, we've been live for 8 minutes 49 seconds, despite having done a half-hour pre-stream chat before this. So, yeah, I can get up to 720. Wow, look at you in some form of HD. I like this idea of everyone getting terrible quality. If I make mistakes now, you won't see them. It's brilliant. Yes, good evening, Alexander. How are you? I hope you are well. Stream is fine for me. Darn, you're going to notice. Also, it's probably a glitch with a recent update on Android. Could be. Also, what's with the Oak Hill sign? So, yeah, the Oak Hill sign. I thought I'd best bring that in here this evening. This is, as you can probably tell, the running inboard from the layout Oak Hill. So for those that don't know, the layout is no more. We had another leak in the house. Unfortunately, this one required the layout to be moved so that it could be fixed. And as we've discussed several times before, the boards for the layout were quite rotten and moving them not really an option. So yeah, the layout is no more, so the Oak Hill sign came to sit on the stream with us. And I should point out that that is fully supporting itself. It's not leaning against that coach, as it may look. It's a freestanding thing quite happily. I built that well. Scratch built that in a day. I think it was one of the first things I scratch built, and I'm really happy with it still. There's definitely things that could be better on it, but I'm happy with it, and it shall accompany us to the new layout when that gets built. Boards mostly held together by scenic scatter and track. It was getting that way. There was a big sinkhole in the boards in the station, and you could look at the roofs of the trains dip as it went over it. Nothing really ran because the track was getting so many lumps and bumps in it. There was a new one I discovered only last week, actually, when I was setting up things like photos and such for knowing it was at its end. There was a new fault line that had appeared in the loco shed area. Ran all the way along the length of the board, and the track at the back had a step in it of nearly 2 mil. So, yeah. That was fun. Can you build a running in board on string, please? Would work well on my LBSC layout. I could do. I would have to see if I can get hold of the lettering I used again. I can't remember who makes it. Someone will know. They make lots of etched brass detailing bits. One of you people in the chat is clever enough to know who I'm on about. But yeah, I could potentially do that. Oak Hill is dead. Long live Oak Hill. Exactly, Paderborn. For only £5 a month, you can support the Oak Hill Preservation Society. Well, if you want to, you know, that's a very good point, Paul. For £5 a month, you can indeed support the Oak Hill Preservation Society. Exclamation mark Patreon in the chat. I think that's what the command is. God, it's been so long since I've done my Patreon. I can't even remember what my command for Patreon is. It is exclamation mark Patreon in the chat. So yeah, for £5 a month at patreon.com/Oak Hill Model Railway, you can indeed support the Oak Hill Preservation Society. In the meantime, though, we're going to play with some LSWR because we can. And the next thing we need to do is cut the ends from their piece of plastic art that they were stuck to. Which is, I should add, significantly smaller a bit of plastic art than the one that came with the other kit. And as you can see, I'm holding this up and I've got a much bigger bit here. This actually had the ends of the other one on the end of it like that. So this was even bigger than the one that was in this kit. Running in board, easy first CAD project. Nah. Easy enough to scratch build, Tom. And good evening, how are you this evening? I hope you are well. So yes, we need to cut these ends out and then tidy them up around the edges with a file, finishing off the instruction we started at the end of last week's stream. So let's get on with that, shall we? I scratch built that running inboard back in the days when I used to update the Oak Hill thread on RM Web weekly, and people would always, then there were people that would comment to me about how much I was getting done. I'm like, wow, how do you find the time for it, etc. When in reality, I was doing all of my modelling on a Saturday. I was like, wow, how do you find the time? I only do it one day a week. Go bye guys. Okay, thanks for popping in, Ben. See you later. Is that the Clarendon alphabet from a scale link? I think you are right, you know, Linny. I do think you are right. Although surely now from scale link for etc. rather than scale link themselves, which is definitely a separate company somehow. Well, a little offer is one approach as well as doing it one day a week. Indeed it is, Paul. Indeed it is. In better news, I do have pretty much everything for the track work, point motors and all sorts for South Park Quarry up above me. which is planned to be done on the workbench on a live stream, which will give you guys some interesting views. Just don't try to fire a locomotive all in one day for a week's work. Probably best not, no. Tell you what, these are going to need a lot of tidying up when they're done. Of course, the good thing about when you're doing something that you're going to be tidying up with a file is you don't have to be completely accurate. You can just come back with the file afterwards. It does help. Health Safety would have a field day. Indeed they would. Yes, we're going to use the big file. Because we're going through reasonably thick plastic card and we want a nice edge on it. The nicer we get this edge, the nicer the carriage comes out. Didn't realise for etc. did sheets of signal arms too. Yeah, they do loads. Just a shame she doesn't want to take on the rest of the scale link stuff. Etc. is owned and run by the daughter of the person that runs Scale Link. But she doesn't want the rest of the business. Was a sheet of 80 steering wheels. Yeah, yes, I remember that sheet. I've seen that one. So yeah, it's a shame she doesn't want the rest of Scale Link, because that would solve the Scale Link is for sale problem pretty quickly. There is a random screw sat next to me. This would normally not be a problem, but as my workbench is now mainly used for other people's stuff, it's quite worrying when I find random screws. Their driving wheels will be sorely missed. Indeed they will. The problem is the value of the company, the money the company makes compared to the value of the tooling it owns. and machinery it owns. Sure, that is fine, finding random screws. Well, that's say normally it is. When it's other people's logos you've been working on all week, on the other hand, not so much. And there is the bot reminding you to smash that like button or give it a gentle tap and all that wonderful stuff. So yeah, do that. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, say hi in the chat, all these great things. And hydrate, because hydration is important. But yeah, the problem with Scale Link is he declares that the company makes about £10,000–15,000 a year. It also apparently owns about £500,000 in assets. So by the time you've paid for that £500,000 in assets, and you're only making £10,000–15,000 a year, you see the problem. My 42 makes a strange grating noise when it runs, and I have no clue what is wrong with it. That is not good. Take it apart, service it, hope it works. That's my advice. And I'm sticking to it. So now we need our bits of plastic. And the reason we bought the bigger one over from the other kit is because we need to cut lots of pieces out of them. One of which is this, the deck head. Some E, everyone, an E. £116 by 31. That's not right. Oh yeah, it is. No, it's not. I don't know how to service logos. I'm afraid of breaking it. Who makes 42XX? What make is it? We've got a couple of servicing videos coming up soon. I still need to film them, but I've got all the parts to do it now. They are coming up soon. Now someone else's logos. Hornby. Oh, it'd be a nice easy one then. You just need to take it apart and put some oil on it. It'll be fine. Have you got the maintenance sheet that comes with it? Because that should have details of the lubrication points on it to just add a drop of oil. What you want is one of these style oiling pens. And you just want to put tiny drops on it. You glad I sent you 2 kits now? Well, it is handy, but I mean, I do have a decent supply of plastic art though, so it's too wide. Should only be 29mm. It's the right length. And is square. So that's good. YouTube called Double O Bill as recommended by James. Well, there we go. There is a recommendation for someone you could watch now and do it. Did find DC chip inside of the thing. My out as DC. When I removed it, the logo stopped moving. Yeah, you need a blanking plug. Are you sure it wasn't a blanking plug? There's my pen. But at the same time, a lot of DCC chips will work on DC. So the easiest thing to do is, if it works, is to leave it alone. £2 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at that and see just how much that £2 is on this, that's a fair bit too wide. Unless, of course, we make this the ceiling, which will be a bit wider. Ceiling, yeah, the ceiling is this size. There we go, there's the problem. So we don't want to cut this. This will be the right size for the top. Which Linny won't want me to fit at the moment because I'm sending it back unpainted and unglazed. It would be quite hard to glaze it with that stuck in. I probably want it in there. No, I'll be strengthening it with brass strip. It's fine. See, I know what I'm doing. So what we actually want to do is go back to this and measure up properly. So we want from this edge 116mm. We actually want a few bits at 116mm, so if we get that marked all the way along. Linny, who is also working on a full break at the moment. Excellent. So there is our 116mm line. Darn you. Then we want one at 29mm. To be the floor. And we want a pair at 3.5mm. To make our salt bars. Albeit a bogey one in blue. Well, that doesn't sound very LSWR. Because, of course, you know, we need to be chopping sol bars and stuff out. We couldn't just have nice, easy things. It's very much what you call a scratch aid rather than a kit. But that's fine with me. I enjoy this sort of stuff. So if I take that now, that's only just wide enough to get the ceiling in there as well then. And you get about 2mm extra. What else do we want? And 32mm by 4mm for the buffer beams. We go here. And yes, all the way up here. Then I can mark them both at 4mm. And then suddenly we have our floor, our sole bars and our buffer beams. And our ceiling. And we knock over the Oak Hill sign. Kilmore, please offer amnesty to your way and vessel. Kid, Kilmore, I thought you guys broke up. No. That's what we wanted you to think. Can't do Russian accents, so it's not happening. And besides, we have our wonderful Terrier logo in a shop window now. It's almost like we're professionals who do stuff and advertise stuff. And yes, I am genuinely advertising the YouTube channel in the window of the shop. Good evening, Red. How are you? I hope you are well. Neither could Sean Connery. Didn't stop him from being a Russian sub-commander. Very true. Very, very true. Despite this being a model railway channel for model railway building, I bought myself some Airfix kits the other day. Some very worthy ones, I thought. They're not here yet. They are, well, one is at the shop, one is on its way to the shop from the supplier. So I have got myself a model of a Horsa glider, which is what the British used in World War II. And on its way to the shop, a model of Pegasus Bridge to go with it. I have no idea where I'm going to put all this when it's built. Because, well, if you look at my playlist, you may notice that my house is a little bit full of railways. So quite where I'm going to fit a Pegasus Bridge diorama, I don't know. In fact, they're not Airfix. They're, yeah, the other one begins with an I. And I can't hang a glider under the stairs on some fish. No, because it's diorama can Italeri. That's the one. Thank you, Alex. Diorama can go above a bookcase, but the whole thing is one diorama. It's the Pegasus Bridge invasion. Late again, am I? Good evening, Javier. You are indeed. It's highly disgraceful of you. How are you? I hope you are well. I suppose I can let you off being late, though. The Pegasus Bridge comes with all the German kit for the defenders. I've gone with just the one Horsa glider for now, although there were 6 involved in the landing. I figured one was enough for now. I thought you had plenty to do then. Indeed. I was trying to convince myself for days that I didn't need a Horsa glider. And then once I realised that they also did Pegasus Bridge, because, you know, someone pointed it out to me, I couldn't not get them. They had to be mine. And soon they will be. Farewell, putting the finishing touch on my Manning Wardle E. Excellent. Excellent. Don't know. No idea, Alex. No idea at all. I've got a second one of those Horsa glider kits in the shop as well. But I don't need 2. The one will do. If I'm going to get more, I have to get all 6. It's how when people make you buy things, Gary. It is. I mean, even at trade prices, these aren't cheap kits. So it sounds like you need more to me. If I had somewhere to put them, I'd consider it. But, shock horror, I don't. I filled the house up with railways. Sadly, military modelling is wonderful but expensive. Indeed. And I basically gave it up when I started railway modelling. But I have been to Pegasus Bridge, and I am what would be considered reasonably knowledgeable about the D-Day landings. I couldn't not get them. Sounds like you need a loft conversion. Well, yeah, a loft conversion would be great if it wasn't for the fact my loft is barely 4 foot high at the peak. So there's not really a lot of space for a conversion. Absolutely. So Merville battery assault diorama when? Is there one? So I've been to the Merville battery as well. Sounds like you need a roof raising then. Well, when can I expect you round to do that then, Red? Remember, there's a whole terrace you'll have to do. It's not just my house. Looking forward to the stream where Harry builds a bunker in his garden. Oh. No, but it wouldn't be hard to make. Going places like we found in kit form, various figures come from a few manufacturers. True. True. But if I were to do all of the D-Day sites I've been to, I would of course have to do pretty much all of them. It wasn't a short trip to Normandy. See the issues there. Yeah. I've been to all the beaches. Pegasus, the Merville battery. There was a couple of other gun batteries I went to. The American Cemetery at Omaha is incredible. One long dormer window either side of wonders. One very long dormer window. Stood on Omaha Beach when I was about 8 or 9. So I went as part of an organised trip. We must be talking 17 or 18 years ago now. Merville battery, Point de Hoc, are two those things you don't hear talked about as much, sadly. Oh, there's one of the others I went to, Point de Hoc. Yeah. Where the Rangers assaulted. Yeah, so I went over there for a week, purely on D-Day site visits for that whole week. And our guide for the week was a padre who had been attached to an American division and landed, and well, as he put it, landed in the first wave at Omaha. He considers himself very lucky that his landing craft didn't actually land. I've been to Battlebury Moor, which is one of the most underwhelming things I've been to. Yeah. So As his landing craft came in, they hit a sandbank way too far out to actually land. And him and the rest of the people on his landing craft spent the day sat there huddling behind the walls, playing dead. Since he was first wave of Omaha, he expects he would have been not doing so much playing had the landing craft made it all the way. Hydration is important. It wasn't until the early evening that they dared poke their heads above and discovered that it was safe to be rescued and make their presence known. Right, so that is all those cut out. Take floor piece, mark centre line, mark out position of underfloor fittings to figure 3. There we go, there's figure 3. I had to visit a customer in France on the way back, stopped off and visited the grave of my grandfather's uncle in Flanders. Wow. See, I don't know the locations of any family members' graves out there. There are a few of them named on the Menin Gate in Ypres, which I have also been to on a separate trip when I went to Belgium for the day. Lucky man, first hours of the landing were apparently hell on earth. Yeah, he was very lucky, and he knows it. Army chaplains and their other religion equivalents were some of the most amazing people. I highly recommend people read up on the chaplain, the Sherwood Rangers, Yeomanry, Leslie Skinner. Yeah, they were incredible people when you consider what they were out there doing. Completely unarmed, completely unwilling to harm another human whilst putting themselves in such danger. Quite possible I'm the only member of my family ever to visit the grave. That's kinda sad in a way, but also not overly surprising, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. There is our centre marking down the floor. And then we want to measure the centre the other way, which will be where our central axle will sit eventually. Which is there. And there. I wouldn't have had the nerve to be a soldier, even if I wasn't a consummate pacifist. I think a lot of people didn't really get a choice, that's the thing. Seen in Band of Brothers joining the attack in Carriage, and their chaplain is in the middle of the street giving last rites to fallen man. while machine gun flies up around, sums it up. It does, and yes, I remember that scene. It's not been that long since I watched Band of Brothers. The bot says to remember, hydration is important. His immediate family were farm labourers from a small village, so they would never have had the possibility. No. No, not a chance. Right, the gas tanks go on this side 7mm from the centre line so this is where our gas tanks will go. Along those lines there between the two wheel sets. Friendly pacifist still serves. Look at Desmond Doss, Hacksaw Ridge. Indeed. Band of Brothers, fantastic, very powerful stuff. It is, and written by an incredible war author. I have a few of Stephen Ambrose's books. He did a very good one about D-Day itself, which was all written with letters and memoirs from soldiers. It was a fantastic book. And then I've got another one of his that he did. I can't remember if it's just the rest of the Battle of Normandy or if it's the rest of the war in a similar style. But again, absolutely fantastic. Story of Doss is incredible, and the film isn't bad, if a little Hollywoodized. Isn't everything Hollywoodized these days? 17mm away. This is for the vacuum brake cylinder. But that only wants to be on this spot, so I can just take that mark in there. Grandfather was a conscientious objector. He served as a stretcher bearer, seriously wounded by a hand grenade while helping the wounded. He also went to war and refused to pick up a gun. Good on him for sticking to it. Definitely. My great-granddad's older brother ended up in Colditz. Ooh. That's not the greatest place to end up. About the only historical film I know that was only minimally Hollywoodized is Apollo 13. Yes. Indeed. Yeah, that's annoying. So, this doesn't put the measurements for the outer axles on here. And I don't think it mentions the wheelbase on here. Linny, what's the wheelbase? Good evening, Thomas. How are you? I hope you are well. I mean, it might be nice and this actually be... No, it's not. That's over scale. That's annoying. Well, the 13 mission was, by all accounts, actually that much of a mess. Yes, it was. So many stretch bearers were conscientious, stretcher, brave buggers, a lot of them. 10 plus 10. Okay, thank you. I can get them marked on then, and that is the last markings for the bottom. One there. One there. And the same on the other side. One there. One there. So we've now got our floor marked up with many, many lines. So we have our 3 axles going that way. We have here a point for the vacuum cylinder. And then along these lines, between the 2 axles, go the gas tanks. And that will make up our underframe detail. Doing right at the moment, and we finally turn earlier but bounce back, side effects of being stabbed by medical people, I guess. Indeed, although I thought side effects weren't supposed to be as bad on the second jab. But still, why for being stabbed by medical people? Right, enough war stuff, back to lurking. Ah, but you're enjoying it really, Alex. All nice round numbers, this van. 30 foot long, 20 foot wheelbase, 12 foot tall, 8 foot wide, 9 foot over duckets, plus beading, unfortunately. No, I approve of round numbers. That is good. So now is the time to be attaching the ends and the sides. Could talk about military history all night, hence why I must stop. If everyone's enjoying talking about military history, I see no problem talking about military history all night. Suddenly felt drained. Could have been stabby jabby, but I don't know, could have just been concentrating a bit too much at some point. I mean, that sounds very likely for stabby side effects. Actually, this one should not have gas tanks. We're going for oil lit. Of course we are. You have mentioned that before, and I should remember. I am going to squiggle over the gas tank lines. And that will remind me not to stick them on there. Gas lamps didn't start being fitted to these vehicles till 1908. Ah, quite late in your period then. Right, I'm going to show you now the Roxey suggested way of doing the tumble homes, and we're going to go with that. I've been looking at lots of sword styles and such for my D&D group. Very cool. Red, very cool. End attachments already. Wow, really, I'm late. Hello, Gary. Evening, everyone. Good evening, Andy. How are you? I hope you are well. So, yeah, the way Roxey advises doing it is using a ruler such as this one, laying the side down and bending it with, in this case, a knife handle. I think my knife handle is a bit thicker than what he would expect. I'll probably use the big paintbrush that we used for the transfers. That's the word I was after. I can English. And the good thing about these vacuum formed sides over etched for doing stuff like this is you can see through the back where everything is. 40 reform turn, tumble home, turn under. Yeah, but it didn't stick. So it's sort of there, but not really very well. So we decided we were going to have another go at it once we were ready to use them. And then put something in to strengthen it if needed. If it would help, I'm not opposed to additional interior walls. Well, that's it. That's what I was thinking, is it could have something like that inside to help hold the shape. And then I was also going to... No, not that piece. Oh, it's good when I know where things are, isn't it? Raise your hand if you're shocked by Gary losing something. What? No one? Oh, there it is. I was going to cut some off this to run across the top and across the bottom, just above the tumble home. Try and give it a bit more strength to not be deforming and such forth. Hydration is important. And Gary is in a warm room again. Good evening, Ginty. How are you? I hope you are well. They are indeed hopefully being assembled well. We should see lots of progress this evening. I mean, the roof has a ceiling, that'll hold it straight. True. True. That's much better now than it was before. Yeah. Much, much better now. But yes, you're right, the ceiling will hold it to shape. Not that it'll have one before it gets to you. Luckily, I've got lots and lots and lots of packing material. In fact, I've got boxes and boxes of it. So, they have their tumble homes reformed. So now, our floor marked up. We want to be attaching the ends like so. And then attaching the sides, and I thought I'd best make sure they are actually the right length before I stick them. That's what I mean. This model might get to me in one piece. I do mean that, yes. Because you see, it's been rather busy around here recently. And my spray booth is currently a storage box for other people's models. Not even joking. It's just packed with boxes of models. I've got some more shelves to put up in here to hold other people's models whilst waiting for parts to arrive. And all the parts that have arrived so far have come with lots and lots of packing material, which I have, where possible, kept. Right then, it's plastic weld time. So what we are going to do here, we're going to get my standing block, my soldering block, sorry, and place that on the cutting board so that we can line that up and have it held straight. Falcon Brassworks kits any good? They're not the easiest kits. Let's put it that way. Let's put this that way so that it's the right way around. They are very far from the easiest kits. There are experienced modelers who avoid Falcon Brassworks stuff. But you know me, I like a challenge, so just saying. Hang on a second. This edge sticks out. That's better. Pity they seem to have quite a range of LSWR non-passengers carrying stock. Yes, yes. They've got a few very nice locos they do as well. That's much better. Challenge, famous last words. I do. I have as yet to be presented with a kit that I have not enjoyed, regardless of how hard it is and how much needs making from scratch. Logos are nice even if the kits aren't. Yeah, basically. I love how I can, on these end bits, I can actually see it acting on them. It's fantastic. Oh, would you look at that? They do that. Is that diagram a 6-wheel full brake? Probably takes longer to build with more swearing. And look at how nicely that lines up. definitely need to get some 90-degree clamps. We have some adjustable clamps in the shop that I looked at the other day, and they just looked too much like they were going to break anything they touched. I was like, no, thank you. Because of how they adjusted, it looked like it would take a decent bit of pressure to keep them held nicely. Look at that. Isn't she lovely? Yes, yes she is. Good stuff, that plastic weld. It is indeed. I used it when we were building some kits at club once upon a time, and I do believe that's basically the only time I've actually used it. Right, let's get some bits along the base, shall we? And there we go. That's some nice looking progress, if you ask me. Now I'm all about that bass. No treble. Oh dear. That's your fault, Lily. That's going to be stuck in my head now. I hope you're happy. Of course you are. You are laughing out loud and everything, aren't you? Right then. Really good. Thank you, Alex. Drill buffer beams. Cement centrally under coach ends, slightly inset. Cement sole bars to the floor, inset from the sides to leave 25.5mm between them. So, sole bars and buffer beams next. I'll put it back with the diagrams facing out, because this has diagrams for the buffer beam with measurements on it, so I can double check them as I'm doing it. I feel like it might be easier to cut the sole bars before gluing buffer beams in place and use them to check the spacing of buffer beams. You know what, as I was reading it, I thought surely it would be easier to do the sole bars first. But then, of course, the sole bars are the length of the floor we cut. So when so there's actually a visible bit on the end for the buffer beams to drop straight onto. But yeah, as I was reading it, I thought that. But no, I think it'll be fine. Right, where's that plastic ruler? Which actually, Yeah, this one here right in front of me, that's the one I was looking for. Yeah. Because this one has measurements on it, unlike my metal one. Right, there's our centre line. And there's our centre line. Buffer memes, to be honest. Of course you do, Alex. I want to come out 11mm from the centre line on each side. And that is where our buffers will go. Right across those marks. So now we have that one marked up. So we got both centre lines, and then we got the marks for the buffers. Please also drill for proper couplings. Okay, I was about to ask if you wanted proper couplings. Drilled. Read that as buffer mead at first, which sounds like something that you sold at a bar in a railway pub. It does, yes. I'm sure Mr. Valentine would approve. Indeed, I'm sure he would. So, in here we have some buffers. And that drill bit is only slightly too big. This is the drill bit we want for those buffers. Getting a tension lock on one end but scale coupling on the other. Ah, excellent. I hate doing up the bits on this drill, which is the one I use for the bigger parts, because this is really stiff. But I don't ever want to oil it or anything, because it'll just make it not secure enough. See, I can do words. I'm doing really bad this evening with words, aren't I? And we can get the little anvil out. We could get some blue tack, that will hold it better than my finger. Let's be honest. Really need to flatten off the bottom of this, it's got a rock. I'm going to come back out now. How's the drill bit get into a hole that's too small for it? Now, scale cups between rates, tension locks on the ends. Makes sense. There we go. It came free. Give it a little bit of a clean. And look, there's a link to the Patreon. Remember earlier when we were saying about how £5 a month can pay for the Oak Hill Preservation Fund. There we go, they have a thread on them that's going to go through there beautifully once it's done. And we're putting them on there. Clean up around the hole with the knife. We've not got too much excess. Peep Peep says the terrier when you provide donations, or play it off of Discord, because I uploaded mine to Discord. There we go. Really donated £5. Thank you for building my kit. Thank you for sending the kit for me to build. It has been, so far, very enjoyable. Stress the so far. We don't know how it... Didn't hear it here. Well, you'll have to go and play it off Discord then, won't you? That is a shame that you did not hear it, and Discord is Streamlabs is being stupid again. We did get it working. It worked the following week. Okay, now that goes through very nicely. And is just the right size for the buffers to self-tap a hole through. Which is quite nice. Streamlabs be Streamlabs, Joe. Also, I didn't donate $5. Yeah, it's really odd. In my actual feed for notifications, so let's swing the camera around. In my notification feed, it says pounds. It's only in the chat window it says dollars. In fact, if I run the notification again, I bet it comes up on the screen saying pounds as well. That's definitely pounds up on the corner of the screen there. It's just Streamlabs be Streamlabs. And again, the bot says it in dollars. I am going to refill my hydration vessel. It is pounds and still no whistle. That is very irritating. Stupid Streamlabs. And indeed, hydration is important. A bag of couplings around here somewhere. That's convenient. My bag of spares has a Romford. There we go. A Romford screw link in. And these carriages at the back here have Romfords on, and one of them's missing its screw link. One thing I really don't miss about streaming is dealing with Streamlabs. Yeah. I can see the advantages of not dealing with Streamlabs. But imagine how much I'd have to do to move away from it now, because even GaryBot is part of Streamlabs. They very much have me tied in. It would be a real pain. Yes, yes it would. That is the only correct word to describe it. And of course I know that all my equipment works with Streamlabs. So at this point, the only bits of equipment I would ever actually want to upgrade is a proper physical mixer for the microphone, rather than the one built into Streamlabs. And eventually at some point a 4K camera. But as YouTube will only let you stream on ultra low latency in 1080p at the moment, that's not a priority. Other than that, I think we're pretty good for equipment. But yeah, to have an actual physical audio mixer with dials and stuff that I can use would be nice. That does not want to come up. think I've got it that time. Sounds way too professional for my liking. Well, I think it sounds fun rather than professional. And there we go. Scale coupling fits. There we go. Well done, camera. Yeah, that's one feature I would love Streamlabs to have. Would be for me to be able to click on the screen and go, I want you to focus on this bit on my camera preview, and it do it like it does on my phone camera, for example. That would be a really cool feature. Oh, Daddy Streamlabs, are you listening? Actually, talking about streaming, I should be able to get my name back on Twitch in a couple of weeks. Way! Don't be naughty and lose it again. That's my advice. And before you say you didn't lose it because you were naughty, why would you bring facts into this? Too much blue tack in this hole. I think I've got it all now. Don't know what I was thinking changing it. Didn't know you had to wait 6 months to get it back. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. But on the modelling front, I have a serious question for everyone now. Does anyone happen to know why I didn't stick these together with a bit of double-sided tape and do them both at the same time? And save me having to do it twice? Because that would have been sensible. Don't say the reason I didn't do it is because that would have been sensible. Being sensible is overrated. Very true. Very true indeed. No, I know, you were distracted. Yeah, that's it. I was distracted by something. I was distracted by actually trying to be a professional YouTuber for a change. And show you all what I'm doing and why. Who remembers when this channel was actually about me teaching you stuff and not just hanging out and having fun? Pepperidge Farm remembers. And since the bot's insisting, it is right, hydration is important. Where did I put that coupling hook? There it is. Get that marked at the same time. And now it can go away in its bag. Fun, oh yes, the employment of time. Profitless and non-practical way. Exactly. £10 for knowing the quote without looking it up. So I recognise the quote. Does that count? I want to say it's a Simpsons quote. But I'm not convinced by that. But that is what my first instinct on reading it was. Get 2 points. No, something much funnier. Okay then. Red Dwarf last time. Ah, there we go. Been a while since I watched Red Dwarf. Red Dwarf series 1 through 6. This one is one of my top 5 all-time programs. It is a very good program. I'm not gonna lie. I've even watched all the stuff that came after they did when they started redoing it and all the new series is. I think that's the last time I watched it, was when they last released something new. And I watched them all again. The fact that Jupiter Mining Corporation is canon in the Star Trek universe makes me so happy. That is a good thing. I agree. I didn't know it was, but I agree that is a good thing. I've watched some of the modern stuff, I find it hit and miss. Yeah, it very much is. But when you consider the type of show and the era it's from, the fact that the more modern stuff isn't miss and miss is quite impressive. I don't know why I put that coupling hook back when I wanted to make sure it fits through this up. Deep Space Nine, the business listing board on the promenade of companies referencing other sci-fi series, and JMC is on there. Ah, excellent. See, I should know that because Deep Space Nine is one of the ones that I have watched all of. There we go. Coupling hook fits. So I've returned at the right moment. Oh, it's always the right moment to return. But yes, we're about to really start making it look like a carriage. It's canon that Jones said you have an office on Deep Space Nine. My two favourite sci-fi universes collide. That is quite cool. So you have to finish season 6 and 7. Well, you know what you must do then, don't you, Javier? You must get on with it. Get that off of there. There we go. Pain, isn't it? Good evening, Starkiller. How are you this evening? I hope you are well. It is 22:39 here on Radio O'Kill. We have just crossed the halfway mark of our show. What is everyone else up to this evening? Please do tell. You know I love to hear about it. Let's see if we've got another set of instructions in here. We do. Then I can have both sides of the instructions and not have to keep flipping them round. And I can also drop drawing pins everywhere. See how wonderful it is when I start doing things properly. I say properly, I don't mean it, do I? There we go. There's an interesting colour. The last instruction on here: paint roof white or dirty. Didn't realise dirty was a colour. Fitting an undercarriage or scratch built carriage. Excellent. Is this your S&D blue one, Andy? So now, if I do these this way round, I've got a nice line for the centre to line up with the centre. Yes, excellent. I do hope we get some pictures on Discord once you're done with that. Not doing much tonight, mainly just watching and looking through my old folders of railway ideas. God, I bet there's a lot of those. So yeah, I have visible markings for where everything goes on here. Will do. Excellent. I will look forward to seeing them. Because that's a very cool looking carriage. No, don't fall over. Must admit to getting a little emotional over some of the ideas. I really wish they could have come to fruition. No, I don't blame you at all. There are times I look at the original plan for what was going to be Oak Hill before I got Oak Hill. And I wish I could have built that layout. I even had the baseboards for it. But Bright Elmstone feels a lot of the role of what that layout was going to be. Worcester Midland Shed, Aldersgate and the AK and ALR stand out as ones I really wish could have happened. Oh, Worcester Midland Shed would have been an amazing layout. But, despite not happening, was still important. And I got to admit to being a little gutted that we haven't seen the other two. Oh, and here was me about to say that it was so important you put it in capital letters. Rapido have announced Chevrolet Impala police cars. That is tempting. Well, you know what I have to say to that, don't you, Alex? That's right. No, you don't need them. You are a recovering purchaseaholic. You don't need purchase a whole. Tell you what, these lines I drew on the bottom here are really melting into this plastic world really nicely, and they're starting to add some colour to the tip of my brush. You can see it's going purple right on the tip there. I might have to not listen to you on this one. Oh, Alex. Oh dear. You know the rules. I'm not going to stop you. I just want you to think about it. James would say mauve. Yes. Yes, he would. Oh, James, quick, come out from under your layout as I turn my paintbrush mauve. And the bottom of this carriage. Don't worry, I won't rush into anything. Well, it's just been announced they probably won't be out for a while. Well, yes, there is that. Someone mentioned something. Yeah, we're turning the tip of my paintbrush mauve with the ink on the bottom of the carriage. As it mixes with the plastic weld. Whilst you're here though, James, how is the layout wiring going? I hope it is going well under there. Put this back on a second because I need to read. We have something starting to resemble a carriage here, you know. I'm very impressed with it so far. Right, from 20 foul card, cut required number of partitions. Hey, it wants partition. It wants the internal walls, Linny. It supplied me that 20 foul as well. I assume it has 2 internal partitions. I'm looking for a pointy thing. One about here and one about here. It's got a very interesting channel. There we go. Look at that, James. You did a good. But he doesn't tell you to do that before you attach the ends, which you could have used as templates. It is, isn't it? It gives me measurements instead. Tells me to cut them 31¼ mil by 25 mil, and then file or cut the bottoms to clear tumble home. But yeah, the ends would have made nice templates. Never mind. Am I right thinking one there and one there? So in the centre of the panel sections. I shall hydrate, because hydration is important. If only you had more ends in the box. I do, don't I? But I could also do it properly. It's not going to be that much work. One sec. Awesome, good to have you here to help find these things out. But yes, I do have more ends. Which are technically the wrong shape of what we want. We need from just above this beading on the bottom. Do you believe that's the best place for them? Yes, that's what I thought. And then we want to cut flat across here for the ceiling. But they'll make a good starter template. Take it off the plastic card. Just check, you've got one in with steps and one without, right? Yes. There are steps here and no steps here. So to answer Oaken's question earlier, I'm now back from underneath the layout. I finished routing, tidying, P-clipping several quadrangles worth of wires. Excellent! We now have the whole scenic section wired in, aside from signals and lighting, which will come later. Fantastic, James. Totally isn't just a trick to get Gary to cut out more bits for me. No, not at all, Linny. Not at all. I am very glad to hear your wiring is going well, James. This is fantastic news. You will, of course, before long, be able to join me as I do lots of wiring live. Carriage looks very carriagey. Thank you, James. I'm back. Welcome back, Ben. You're not back now. Okay. Let's start to do the rain 2/3 of the fiddle yards. It will. That'll be fun. Even more wiring. It is, but hopefully it'll be worth it. It sounds like it'll be worth it, James. to participate in online operations when I set up all the signalling. I am very much looking forward to doing that, James. Yes. Live wire, exactly. Live wiring. You are back. Excellent. Evening, folks. I hope you're all good. Good evening, Rob. I hope you are well. I am indeed very well, thank you. You can go back in that box. And you can go down here. Then you can go down there and that can go back up there. Not quite the right place for it, but close enough. Yes, I am just having an impromptu tidy of the workbench. But yeah, for those who aren't on my Discord, so didn't see it earlier, I wire every bit of rail because it's the best way to make sure you get conductivity throughout. You're not relying on the fish plates to do it then. Which is great, as far as I'm concerned. When we do the layout on stream though, that means you have to sit and watch me solder lots and lots of bits of rail. Don't be sorry, it's good to have you here, Rob. Good night, Paderborn. Thank you for coming. Fantastic to have you here as always. Sleep well, don't work too hard tomorrow, and all that jazz. Gosh, yes, I always wire every bit of rail. Excellent, James. That's what I like to hear. People doing things the long and hard way, but it's worth it. Wire them all separately to individual inputs on my block detection devices. We won't be going that far on South Park Quarry. It's only a small layout. Then recording a spreadsheet, which feedback number relates to which section, and all that jazz. All that jazz is another saying I picked up from the Air Force. Once upon a time in a different life. Also have position feedback on my turnouts. Excellent. Again, I'm not even sure I'm going to need that with how small South Park Quarry is. For those that don't remember, that is South Park Quarry at 1/10 scale. So it's not a very big layout. I'll be able to see everything when I'm operating it. It will have a fiddle yard off the, well, a fiddle stick off this side. Teeny layout is teeny. It is indeed. It's super teeny. In fact, like, why show you that when I can say, look, up there. That is South Park Quarry. And that is the whole layout in shot. So, yeah, it is not a big layout by any stretch of the imagination. Shelf layout, well, shelf storage. See, I've got another layout up there as well, sat on top of South Park Quarry, which is Bright Helmstone, my photo plank. I'm after this blue tack again. Storage box layouts are so handy. That they are. The realisation that not one but two layouts are looming above the workbench. Indeed. Gosh, Truly T009N? No, standard gauge 00. I say standard gauge. 00 is kind of narrow gauge, isn't it? But still, 00. Representing standard gauge. But yes, Javier, there are two layouts above me with many, many, many screws holding up the brackets that hold them up. Double O gauge box file, gosh, but it's a bit bigger than a box file. How I've avoided noticing is beyond me. I mean, we've shown it a couple of times, but it's not really been prominent that I've got two layouts above my head. It wasn't originally planned that they would be stored up there. They used to live under the 009. And I redid all that and decided that they were coming in here. Wonder whether anyone has, at sheer whimsy, designed a layout with a very, very teeny scenic section but a massive fiddle yard to store all the trains that momentarily pass through it. It's certainly possible that someone has. I would be very surprised if no one had layouts that were small with large fiddle yards. There are layouts I have seen that are essentially single track through a bit of countryside with fiddle yards on both ends, so if you looped them into a roundie you'd get that effect. So yeah, I would be quite surprised if that hadn't happened. South Park Quarry, on the other hand, what it lacks in size, it makes up for in operational interest. The realms of theoretically possible layout whimsy are manifest. A layout of the London Necropolis Railway, London Waterloo Tunnel would be quite the thing. It would indeed be quite the thing. Mine is 1 foot by 8 foot in O scale and mostly track. Yeah, that's pretty good. South Park Quarry is just over 3 foot by about 1 foot, maybe not even 1 foot. I'd have to remeasure it. I've got the measurements somewhere. Improve operational interest. Operational interest is the best sort of interest. It is, isn't it? Love that you've been so careful to cut out the elliptical reef, which you're going to chop off again. Oh yeah, got to get it right. What's the point in doing it if I'm not going to do it properly, eh? But yeah, plenty of operational interest. Look. We come up here, we lift this. We've got our train, comes in with wagons from the fiddle yard, stops, uncouples, runs round, propels the train into this siding and runs off again with the brake van. We've got a loco shed here with a small industrial shunter in it, which then has a standard 533 fiddle yard to play with. So, plenty of interest there. Off it goes, back parks again. The train has to come in bring the wagons forward into the loop, run round, hook its brake van up to the back, run back round again, and off it goes. These here are all scale items of stock to make sure I could fit that on what I did. So yeah, I know all that works. Personally, I'm not bothered about operational stuff as I am scene setting. It's because I'm a very visually led person. Aeropark doesn't have much operation options, but sets a scene. Indeed, as is reasonably well known by now, I do not do a lot of actually playing trains. I'm sort of hoping South Park Quarry will fix that. Not that it's really something that needs fixing, but you know, I'm hoping that will change it and I will play trains more. But we shall just have to wait and see on that. Should probably put this back down now that I'm working again, shouldn't I? Much complexity. Will there be van traffic delivering stores to the quarry too? Yes, all sorts. I have, coming to me eventually, when they are done, some South Park Quarry wagons, which I am rather looking forward to, especially as I have built a couple of shunters for it. There we go, that sits quite nicely in there. Obviously needs its elliptical roof cutting off still. Operations are fun. Would you find North Main layout satisfying? Which involve trains being played for you whilst you look on? I don't even stand around and watch layouts often at exhibitions, or not for very long anyway, usually. It'd have to be a very specific layout that interested me for me to want to sit and watch the trains go by, I think. I quite like setting scenes up though. Will these shunters have stay alives? I'm not sure they're gonna be needed. Every bit of track's gonna be wired. They're live frog points, which we're going to be doing some modification to. So you can look forward to that. There we go, partitions. And that has to sit inside there at some point. So there's a lot of that to cut off. Interesting. Would you enjoy sitting and watching trains go by on a massive layout, Brighton circa 1885? See, that would probably hold my interest for a while. But where I very much enjoy the setting of scenes and such, I have in the past considered just doing an outward facing scene of the front of Brighton Station. So the locos and the trains are all looking out at you. I've always thought that would be quite an interesting one for scene setting. Now I can use those cut marks to line this up to make more cut marks. For a while, gosh, I've watched that for hours if they're a realistic timetable. Well, I never specified what a while is. if it's operating on a proper timetable and very nicely done, and has lots of Brighton goodness, I could probably spend all day watching it. Can't watch Model Railway for long if I'm not controlling it. Same reason I don't play rail fan scenarios on TS. Makes sense. Generally, the layouts I find myself watching are things like what I'm planning to do with South Park Quarry, where it is slow action shunting. Just a shunter pottering about back and forth, moving wagons. It's too long. That is the right height, though. That's what I was hoping for. I remember at the Ali Pally exhibition 2018, staying for a long time at Streamline Years LER Lads at 38, which ran full timetable, major part of the East Coast main line. I am aware of the layout. I'm looking at that show, I'm taking the scene, looking at the scene details, watching a bit of the operation, then I move on. That is how I go to most layouts. I'd have stayed longer if there weren't other layouts that I needed to see. Fair enough. Interesting, you love Copenhagen Fields, and I imagine it's perfect for taking in the scene. I do, yes, James. There we go. So you found a layout he loves looking at. I am looking forward to the chance to getting out to more exhibitions as well, in the hopefully not too distant future. Seen it, splendid, it's very impressive. That's why I was thinking that you one of the best I've seen in that department. Is there anyone who doesn't love Copenhagen? I do know people that don't love Copenhagen Fields, yes. So I can confirm there are people that don't love Copenhagen Fields. Keeps Brian, I don't mind it. I don't find it operationally satisfying. Oh, interesting. Loads of love, still can't spend more than a few minutes doing it. Scene setting is amazing. I will take your word on that. As I say, at shows, I often go round and look at everything in the sort of quick way that Alex describes, and then if something has taken my fancy, I will go back and watch it for a bit. But I'm not even sure then that I watch it for that long, unless it's the Uckfield show where I'm there for 2 days plus setup. Some of the layouts at the last Uckfield show, the longest I watched them for is when I was filming them to do the video. But there we go. Bot says hydration is important. On Copenhagen Fields, they just have a few trains, particularly beautifully modelled trains, going on fixed paths. Always the same train, same direction, no working signalling or similar. Yeah. In fact, taking a layout in 5 minutes means I never actually stay at any show that long. Can normally do anything smaller than Wall in about an hour or less. Yeah, that's not long. Operations are secondary to the scene. Yes. I quite often... Oh, no. I won't anymore be quite often setting up scenes on Oak Hill to look at. But I used to. But yeah, there are shows I can do in that sort of time as well, Alex, but I'm not going to say it's all of them. So you're obviously quicker than me. Scenery is awe-inspiring. I've never seen it in the flesh, but I will take your word on that. Helps, I hate being around so many people. Yep, fair enough. I enjoy looking at it when I set up. I enjoy looking at it when I set up and not working at the MRC's clubhouse. Probably more than I'd enjoy it at an exhibition, since I can get closer at the clubhouse. That makes sense. See, interestingly, despite the fact I don't operate layouts, I do love operating layouts at shows with the public there. I recommend seeing it in the flesh. I think you'd enjoy it. I'm sure I would. Into everything. Working on the underground section recently. Excellent. I assume that's the hardest part to see, the underground section. Great, well worth seeing for real. That's been a few years since I saw it. Oh yes. But you're a people person, I think, so I imagine you enjoy the interaction. I play a people person very well. I play a people person on the internet. That's my secret. I actually have pretty crippling anxiety. There are few places I can go where it doesn't get me. Jason Justin again. Since after today, I'm sure I would. Can't see me ever going to show again though, to be honest. Boo! I hear there's going to be a really cool show in October this year though, Alex. It's only 3 hours from you. More of a cat person, but some people can be good. I mean, there are a few good people out there, yes. One day I'd like to meet some of them. Having anxiety doesn't mean don't desire human interaction, but I imagine it makes it difficult. But I suppose operating a layout is a good pretext for interaction, and might help alleviate anxiety. Many amazing. Sometimes it does. It's not great. Many amazing cats. Yeah, I'll take your word on that, James. Not going to anything with people in close proximity this year. No, I can't say I blame you. I cannot say I blame you at all. Right. That is partitions in. Haha, it's time to start adding the castings. Oh. So the next instruction is to scribe some lines on the guards' lookouts and epoxy them in place. The next instruction after that is to paint the interior, and the one after that is to paint the exterior, and the one after that is to glaze it. Looks like we're on to a new project next week. The pandemic has been considerably kinder to introverts than the converse. I think it has. And it has not bothered me too much. Safe to say, I do not desire human interaction. I can barely cope with it over the internet, let alone in person. Also, there's times you're quite chatty on the internet, Alex. I mean, obviously these times they're usually few and far between, but they do happen. I've got 40 minutes yet, Linny. It's almost forever. Put this back away now. Proof of yeah, we must have been happy in that position when lockdown came. Yeah. Proof of new projects, which is trust me, it's never easy. I'll take your word on that. I mean, when I say new project, what I actually mean is sticking a roof on this. Maybe some kittens. Who knows? But for right now, we want to scribe some lines on the back of here and get the epoxy out. And we want to clean them up a bit first. They're not the crispest of castings, but they're certainly not the worst. There's our centre axle. 4 buffers. Pair of gas tanks that we don't need. That's where they're from, is it? Yes. Awesome. There best be another couple of them around. The buffers screw in. White metal parts in a plastic kit. Interesting. Indeed, white metal parts in a plastic kit. There you go, there's the centre axle holder. I suppose we don't need these lamps either, really, do we? Let's put them out of the way. So, I want that. I want that. And I want this. I'm going to clean up this. Please save me the gas tanks. They'll be useful for my other LSWR stuff. Oh yeah, I've only put them over out the way behind me so that I don't accidentally add them to the carriage. The LSWR did have some elegant rolling stock. That it did. Can confirm the castings are much nicer. Can confirm the castings in their more recent kits are much nicer. Agreed. They are indeed. Where's that? There it is. From the 1880s onwards, anyway. What I understand is had rather poor rolling stock in its early days. I did it now. Let's figure out what to do for oil lamps then. 5 and 9. Really looking forward to the West of England mainline TS. Finally have somewhere to run decent, somewhere decent to run LSWR stuff. Yes, that will be good. As well as SR stuff, obviously. Well, yes, obviously. See, I'm not just a pretty face. I try and keep my face from most of you, in fact. For your benefit as much as mine. So we're going to put some lines in the back in a sort of crosshatch pattern to give the epoxy more grip. And yes, I'm actually going to be using epoxy on stream. I don't think I've done that before. I think I've always superglued stuff and epoxied it later with stuff that takes longer to set. So I've read in the old days before continuous braking used to have only one brake carriage and train, whereas most other companies had at least two. The Brighton kept at least two for most of its existence. Just a bit. It'd be nice to have many line. It would be nice to have the line reach branch in TS. Spent way too many hours on the MSDS version. That will also be a good one. Superglue these if you want. No, I've got some 5-minute Araldite. Doing things properly, he says. Because I usually use 8-hour stuff. Which of course, if I start using glues on stream that take 8 hours to set, we're not going to get much progress done on each live stream. Turn it properly. Who are you? What you doing, Gary? Exactly. And there's a link to the Discord. For those of you that want to check out the Discord. See, it's alright when I'm using the fast stuff. I can do that on live stream. Of course, now you put the hydration is important command up when the vessel is empty again. But you are quite right. Hydration is important. Let's see if we can find the other two nuts. No, they're long gone. Don't suppose this kit has any, does it? It does have wheels, which are quite important. Oh no, because this does not have screw thread buffers. Interesting. So it's a good job I didn't put these big enough for the things to go right through, and I can just get them to thread their own way. In theory, they won't need it, but yes, maybe. They're rather sharp digging into my things from the inside. Yeah, that is what I assumed you meant. But in theory, they will hold themselves in place because of the size of the screw hole I drilled. Because I drilled it so they could tap a thread through. So that is quite solidly in there now. I recommend pliers. Yeah, I don't want to damage them with the pliers though. These are very nice, I assume, castings. They could be turned. No, they're probably turned, aren't they? Never known buffs to be threaded before unless they are to be sprung. Oh yeah, I've seen it a few times. You won't, they're brass. I have damaged brass of this ilk with my pliers before. But yeah, I've had buffers with threads on them. Don't go knocking that out of place. Make sure the other one's still alright. Yeah, the other one's still alright. Didn't Kaiser use screw-in buffers too? They did indeed. But these ones came with nuts for the back of them, so they're designed for you to drill a slightly bigger hole than I have and screw them on. But the bag with all the castings in had a hole in the side, so two of the nuts have gone missing. See, it had a hole. Stop moving them, they're going to set eventually. And there we are. Buffers are in. It's not quite good enough to do it. We will have to put some more. But they're not going to fall anywhere whilst I do everything else. Wonder if you can train them to set. That goes there. There's the bit that needs cleaning up. I knew there was somewhere. That goes there. And then it's just the axle boxes to add. Should look forward to seeing Linny's layout when it's done. I do like a good LSWR layout. I shall look forward to seeing Linny's layout when it's done. Especially after all the time I spent building baseboards. Tidy that up a bit. I did build Linny's baseboards, yes. Right. I'll put it there is where I've put it. Let's put that up there. Mix up a little bit more epoxy. Building baseboards, passenger brakes, D1s, yeah. Put a spot on the bottom there. Put that through the middle. Put a little bit on the back of the buffers as per Linny's suggestion. And that will hold them. Oh, I do like a good D1. A good D1 is the best type of D1. I must be tired. I temporarily forgot this was a live stream and tried to skip forwards 10 seconds. Am I boring you that much, Thomas? Just have to build my planned double O layout one day, although it's not going to be starting until the N-gauge is fully wired in and I can get ball head slips and crossings. Yeah, you might be waiting a while for those ball head slips and crossings from what I hear from the man at Pico. I haven't done much for a while. I've been busy with work. So when I have been modelling, mostly been stock. Makes sense. I had to resist the temptation to speed up a Zoom call. Watch most YouTube videos at 1.25. That makes sense. Otherwise, work does get in the way of railway modelling, rather. It does, doesn't it? Let's see. Then we're going to go with some bearings. which we can. Yep, they fit fine. Drop in the epoxy, drop in the hole. I don't need 6, I only need 4. Because someone typed that before I've said it and I've not looked. I bet someone has. There we go. Not boring me, I just wanted to see the future. Oh, don't we all? Those slips across have been very delayed. They're supposed to be there in 2018, but there's still a lot of engagement there. Not on club layout. Yeah, we could be looking another couple of years for the ballhead range to be done. Not Spratt and Winkle couplings to be fitted to fit to wagons. Ah, yes. Remember, you only need 4 bearings. Where? See, I knew someone would have typed it. Improved see in the future. If only life had video controls. Centre House doesn't need them. Indeed, one can actually watch live streams 1.25. Just keep pausing when it runs out of video. Yeah, that's true. So they don't quite go right at the end. That's annoying. It'd be so much easier if they did. But I've got the markings on the floor. What I'm going to do is put the knife just down the centre of each one, enough that I can see it. And that gives me some visual guide to where I'm putting these. Did the Pico chap explain why the delay for Bullhead track has been quite so extreme? No. Oh, I know why delays have been extreme over the last year, but before that, no. COVID, one reason I assume. Yeah, and the way they ran their company over COVID is one reason. No, don't fly over there once you've got the epoxy on. I can see that delaying things by perhaps a year, but 2 years beyond will now make them 5 years late. Yes. But the way they ran things over the last year has caused them more delays going forwards. Don't move that. It happens, it does. Epoxy, is that just a lame electric? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The chat specialist saying that bullhead slips and crossings would not be out till 2023. He said a couple of years. which is why I said a couple of years. That's a bit awkward since I can't start singing on main gauge layout until I have baseboards, track and wiring done on the double A. That is rather a shame, isn't it? But it is why I didn't want to wait for them to come out to do the bits for South Park Quarry, because I've been waiting for that layout for too long now. Right, now with that one in place, yes, they're sort of perfect distance for these axles. But I want to let that set a bit more before actually adding the wheels to these end ones. So what we're going to do is file the pinpoints off here. God, that's a lovely noise, isn't it? While sliding the wheel, inboard the axle, avoid scuffling the front. There is plenty of space to avoid that. I'm more worried about doing it with my fingers, to be honest. I'll end up using set track if I do, and then you're not too fussed about fine scale stuff. Boo, set track. The reason I asked is because you referred to completing the full head range, which is not quite the same as just slips and crossings. They need freeways, short radius turnouts, short crossings, trap points to complete the range. You're looking at the slips are going to be one of the last things done, and it was the slips and crossings I was asking him about. Not be easy to snip off pointy bit. That's a steel which you should just put a dent in your snip. Exactly. There's the back to back to make sure I haven't slid them too far apart. No, they're fine. That might still need to lose a bit more actually. Interesting, my file is magnetic. Last thing I'm interested in, announced longer ago than anything else. Haven't even announced freeways, trap points, etc. Yeah. Well, you see where the problem there is, don't you? He's not likely to tell me about things that haven't been announced yet. This one is very insistent that it wants to slide down. That's got it, I think. Yep, those are solid enough now. So we'll mix up one last bit of epoxy and get the wheels on. That's finely motion, a bit like it's stop motion. Well, I can't do live stop motion, so I can assure you it wasn't. Let's not go putting the wrong lids on the wrong ones. That would be bad. That's how we end up sealing the lids. Right, that's got it, I think. Also, Gary, it drops code. I mean, to be fair, that did confirm that it was all okay. Now, I love this. There's actually a thing on the instructions that tells you on here to only glue the outside. And I read that and thought, if you put glue on the inside with your wheel, that's kind of your own fault when it all goes wrong, isn't it? Plenty of movement in those wheels. I've once put the wrong lids on the wrong Araldite tubes. It was a bad time. Yeah, I can imagine. It does not sound like a good time. Where is Araldite sold? I hear about it all the time, but can never seem to find it. I can tell you about this wonderful little model shop that keeps it in stock. It's in Eastbourne, you see. Absolutely fantastic place. It's yeah. They keep it in stock. I don't know about anywhere else. It's $5.99 for the 5-minute stuff, which I think is a reasonable price. I obviously have no connection to this model shop whatsoever except for working there. I hope that's not too much of a connection. Bit far to go, to be fair, unless you have an online presence. We currently do not. I'm working on the online presence. But yeah, currently we do not have one. will have. No, that's what I was worried would happen if I did it too soon. It'll have to stay upside down, which is annoying because it is, of course, 3 minutes to midnight. I was looking forward to seeing what you had. Is it wrong to say I saw that coming? No, not at all. I also kind of thought it was going to happen, but I wanted to push my luck. The coach is drunk. Indeed, the coach is drunk. No, it's a dead one. Obviously. Upside down, feet in the air, must be dead. But yeah, you'll soon be able to see what we have in stock online. I can always take pictures and post them to Discord. I plan on doing similar and sticking them all up on Twitter and stuff, but I want to get the shop really well stocked up again first. We've got a few lines we don't have that I want to have. For example, the things Pico didn't send me because they don't have stocks of everything at the moment because they're not manufacturing fast enough. Hydration is important. It's about to turn midnight. I'm not turning that back over. Which means that we have to slightly trim down this because we know it's too long because we tested earlier. And we need to cut the roof to size. That is all that's left on this project. And I really, if I'm being completely honest, do not see the point in saving it to do next Sunday when I could do it through the week and get it sent back to Linny, where it lives. So there you go. It has a roof. It is complete. I hope you are all happy and you do as the bot says and smash that like button. Sounds like a plan. Do you happen to have any bearings available? We have some Pico Wonderful Wagons bearings in stock at the moment, which do not have the shoulders on them, like the ones I've used here. So, yes, but are they ones I would use? No. Australian coat. Perfect. Exactly, Alex. It is perfect, isn't it? Bushes mean I mix up words sometimes. No. Not that I'm aware of. We might have. Delighted. I have a few extra details to add when it arrives, though, that weren't included in the kit. Well, I assumed you would. But now you can see it is great. It goes together well. It was a really fun kit. I have really enjoyed building this. So, thank you, Linny, for sending it. It has been great building that. A couple of live streams. If anyone else does have anything they want to send to me, do. Get in touch. Twitter, RM Web, Discord, wherever. Just, if you've got something you want me to do, let me know, and I will. Get end steps, footboards, roof handrails, lamps, grab handles, vac pipes. Excellent. Lots and lots of stuff to add then. It's going to look fantastic. It's been a fascinating build. Thank you, Alex. I quite agree it has. I've really enjoyed it. We've got other projects to be getting on with, obviously. We have a layout very nearly. So that duck, it might be squint though. I think it's all right. I think it's all right. She's really, really heavy now that she's got all the white metal on. If it is, I'll be able to sort it anyway. I assume it is the camera angle, yes, because she's sitting not square on with the camera. Now I've got some mojo back. I'll likely be DMing you soonish. Excellent. I've got something that I may send you. Excellent. Of course, I can be contacted on Instagram as well. Do I know all my social media addresses and stuff? No, they're down there in the description. So yeah, if you've got anything you want me to do, let me know, because I've enjoyed this. It's not something I would have built for myself, because I'm not an LSWR modeler, but I've really enjoyed doing it, and it's great to be able to do these things. And there come all the links: Facebook, Twitter, Discord. Do I have an Instagram one? I assume I do. Yes. So there you go. There are all my links. As I say, I am Blue Lightning on RM Web. So look me up. Oh yeah, and there's the website where you can email me and stuff. Shockingly, I don't have a YouTube command, Thomas. I know. It's a shocker, isn't it? All these places you can contact me. Yeah, please do. So, yes, I've had a wonderful time. I've really enjoyed building this. Just in case you hadn't got that already. I don't. Maybe I do. I don't think I have an RM Web one. So we'll be back next week with the South Eastern Chatham Invalid Saloon. I've got a Brighton wagon sitting up here next to me waiting for some transfers to be added as well. So we shall do that. But in the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I've had a great time. I hope you have too. I've been Gary. This has been Let's Build. You've been awesome as always. Good night.